I've spent the last 3 years working with multi-millionaires like Alex Zastry, Louis Garose, Tyson Smith, and many, many more. I personally edited and directed a VSL for Dealmaker that generated $1.2 million in revenue. And what I found is that the top entrepreneurs, they all follow the same 7 rules that I'm about to show you in this video. Rules most people never learn. These rules took me from $0 in my bank account to $3,600 in monthly retainers from a single client. Those same rules helped me from taking 7 different public transports to university to financing my own car. From a nobody to a 3,000 member community full of talent, businesses, and entrepreneurs. But here's the thing, I didn't learn that from YouTube, I didn't learn that from reading books. I learned that by being in the room with them, editing their content, on their calls. 23, I've worked with multi-7-figure entrepreneurs that most people won't ever meet in their entire lifetime. That's not because I got lucky, but because I understood what they all have in common. So today I'm breaking down the 7 rules I've learned, working behind the scenes with the top 1%, and how we can use each one right now. First of all, growing up, I had nothing. I had literally $0 in my bank account, as I said. I didn't have any advantages. I couldn't afford food. I couldn't afford a gym membership. Like, I may be skinny now, but I used to be twice as skinny back then. And I also had no connections with basically anyone at all. I live with my parents, I still do. I'm probably gonna move out this year or next year when it makes financial sense to me. But without getting into too many details, I couldn't really rely on luck. I couldn't rely on anything except effort. And when you have nothing, effort is the only thing that you can control. And control it did, because with effort, I was able to connect with multiple different agencies, which then connected me with multiple different entrepreneurs. And now I work with Jordan Dermengen, Art and Properties, Chase Gallagher, and so many more entrepreneurs. So the principle is very simple. Unreasonable effort equals doing something so many times that the world and your own family thinks that you're crazy. Or, as Alex Hormozi likes to say it, doing so much volume that it would be unreasonable for you to not be successful. Now, effort without any skills will not get you anywhere. You need to find one skill you're decent at, put unreasonable effort into learning that skill, and ignore everything else. Because I started with copywriting. I started with video editing a bit, but then switched around so many times. I even tried AI. I tried drop shipping and failed. Like, these same stories happen from so many different entrepreneurs, and they always come out on the better side when they finally lock in one skill or one business or one service, which is what I'm doing right now with my business. Also, if you're a business owner who wants help with their content, that's strategy, editing, uploading, scripting, the whole package, check out First Class Content. The link is in the description. Back to it. For me, I started editing so much that my portfolio was simply just better than anything else on the market. So I would send my portfolio. Some ask me for samples, some not. Usually they do because editors lie, sadly. It's not a thing I can control. But after that, it's become very easy for me to just like find clients and work with them. The only thing I'm doing right now is obviously building trust. And I'm very open, always gonna be very honest, because that's what God wants me to be. And that's what I believe is right. So honesty and integrity, I guess. I went a bit off track, but I did go from just a montage editor who's making $15 a video to quality control manager who's making around 1,000 to now having my own business, First Class Content, where I sign clients on 4,200 monthly retainers or a different retainer with a performance based, depends on what makes sense for both of us. So effort is your only lever that you can pull, and that alone is very huge. But lesson 2 is how I changed everything, and it came from the last place I expected. Everyone told me, especially in my country, that I should play by the rules. I should follow this path, and this is the only path that will lead you to success, even though I questioned that path. It's the only thing that I had. It was get a degree, climb the corporate ladder, keep working hard until you're like 50, 60, and then retire. And that made absolutely no sense to me. So I questioned it, I didn't believe it, but at the same time, that was literally the only thing I had. I did go to university, but I was working in the background with agencies. I got the degree because it is needed to marry beautiful women here, or a beautiful woman, Just one. We're not doing money more than that, all right? But the degree, absolutely useless to me. I have certificates right here from university because I was the top student there in my class. We're only 6 people though, so it doesn't matter. But after watching entrepreneurs and working with them and seeing them break every rule out there that I was personally taught, it made me question everything even more. It made me question what's possible. It made me question like, okay, I can reach those numbers. I don't have to be stuck as an editor doing $500 a month. My skills alone as a content director now put me in the 1% in my country. And those skills solve an actual problem in the market. Not everyone can just create a content strategy and get their clients results like we do at First Class Content. Like no one can do that very easily. But I guess what you need to know is if you cannot solve a problem, then you're playing by the rules. And if you're playing by the rules, you're always going to be stuck in the system that they created. Solving a problem means you can make money. But solving a problem for rich people means you can make a hell of a ton of money. So what I want you to do for this lesson is list everything that you have as assumptions and question everything that you were taught. Challenge each one and break at least one that you think makes no sense. Because the school path, the college path, the uni path, all of that, at least in my country, some countries out there have better educational system, but at least in my country, that path is absolutely dead. I know so many people, I know so many of my friends grinding, trying to get a job in the job market today. Even when they do land jobs, like it is impossible or near impossible for them to get a car. It's impossible for them to buy a house, a new home. So you cannot tell me that that path is working anymore. And that's why I switched. That's why I'm making my own business as well. But yeah, the problem that I've seen is that most people need an editor, especially because the content economy is absolutely booming right now. Even companies like PayPal, Duolingo, and other companies out there, they are now hiring content directors full-time with very good salaries, like $200,000 a year. And I know so many of you out there find it very hard to find clients, especially inbound from like content. The only thing you really need to do is create your avatar to be able to handle the objections through the content, make so much content that they trust you and they basically hand you their credit card because they know that you can solve their problem, you can solve their pain point, you can take them from this stage of misery to that dream stage. I was paralyzed by decisions. Should I start my own agency? Do I continue in editing and stay just an editor? Do I go to AI automation? Should I drop this client? Should I invest in this or that? Should I buy the car and put pressure on myself and then buy the house and put even more pressure on myself? Or do I just play extremely safe? I noticed that most of my clients make decisions basically in seconds or minutes. And those decisions are like almost life-changing. And to me, that was like very weird because it would take me a lot of weeks just to like decide like, hey, okay, I'm finally gonna do this. And what I learned is that speed is key in business and with everything in life. But the reason they were able to do that was because if the decision was reversible, like you can reverse that decision, they decided fast. But if it wasn't, they took their time a bit. An example of that would be, instead of editing for like entrepreneurs, let's focus only on real estate. So that's a new niche. You can reverse that. You can go back to entrepreneurs. That's completely fine, right? But quitting a stable income job or leaving an agency, that's less reversible. So you should take your time with that. Watching my client Jordan Dermengen make decisions in minutes that were reversible, but then taking months for irreversible ones was the reason it got instilled in me. So now what I do is I ask myself a question. Can I undo this in 6 months? If yes, then I make a decision within 24 hours max. So far we talked about effort, breaking the rules, fast decisions, and they're all powerful stuff. But now lesson 4 is how I show up every single day. And you wouldn't guess where I learned that from. But I noticed every successful person I work with, they said yes first, and then they figured out the rest later. It's like the answer is yes. Now how am I gonna do that? And the reason for that is yes creates surface area for luck. It basically switches your brain from can I to how can I. For me, I said yes to editing a VSL. Mind you, at the time I haven't edited that many VSLs. And that VSL for Dealmaker went from being just another video to being my case study because it made $1.2 million in revenue. I've never built communities before, but I said yes to building first-class editors with my previous business partners, and we grew that to over 3,000 members, full of talent and business owners. I didn't know how to build businesses, but now my agency, First Class Content, has over $10,000 in the pipeline, with 30% of that already closed. So for the next 7 days, you should default to saying yes more. And that doesn't mean saying yes to like going out, to drinking, or to like smoking. It's saying yes to opportunities that may seem weird. People in your DMs who might say, okay, I can help you do X, Y, and Z. Like obviously you're gonna analyze it and then decide, but saying yes can take you to a whole new level that you wouldn't be there if you hadn't said yes. So in my household as an entrepreneur, not a lot of people understand me. Like my parents and my brother, basically everyone around me question everything that I do because they don't understand what I'm building. They don't really know what I'm doing, even if I explain it simply. And I noticed that every top performer out there, especially the ones I worked with, they obsess with who they spend their time with. You need to basically be there, feel like you deserve it, and also feel like you are slightly intimidated by the people in the room because they are better than you. If you're the smartest in this room, then you're probably in the wrong room. You need to be around people who are better than you so you can keep leveling up. And as the Bible says, as iron sharpens iron, a brother also does the same. For me, that looked like joining communities and applying to positions that I didn't even have the skill for. For example, I applied for a creative director at the time when I was still an editor, and that's when I started my editing montage like style editing, which then I kept leveling up to the point where I became a partner with this agency, and now I'm working on my own business. And with the right effort, right mindset, and the right environment, you can beat almost everyone out there. You just need to have complete focus on one thing. Now, there's so many ways out there to make money online. For businesses, it's as simple as finding more leads and customers, maybe clients as well, depending on the business. For me, it was me trying different things and then landing on video editing because I am good at it. And I could have just stayed as an editor forever and won there. But watching my clients and entrepreneurs win crazy numbers and feeling like I was on the wrong side of the table made me realize that just because I'm good at something doesn't mean it's my seat. Like here's a test for you. If you watch other people and you feel jealous, not envy, not like, oh, he has this and I don't, but like jealous because you know you can do the exact same thing and win, that is a sign you're on the right track. And I need you to keep this in mind. You should never stay in a position or a role or working with a client that you hate, because there's no reason for you to keep working with a client that you hate, because at some point something's gonna happen and then you're gonna leave that client or that client's gonna churn. And for roles or jobs, there's no point of getting good at something that you hate, which is why I went from just an editor to quality control manager to creative director to an agency owner now. Although I hate the word agency owner, I prefer CEO. Now, I need you to ask yourself, are you building something for yourself or are you helping someone else build theirs? Like, don't get me wrong, both are fine, but you just need to know which seat you're in. But the final piece, even with the right seat, one thing that separates the good from the elite is this last listen, which I'm still learning to this very day. I used to just like wing it in everything I do when I was younger, and that's mainly from school, and I had to unlearn that because the highest performers that I work with, they never send something that is bad. And by that I mean they do a lot of preparation before a sales call, before sending a deliverable, and they always double check. Most of the time I showed up to calls and I only prepared a tiny bit, and then the client is like on the call and he's more prepared than I am, so that was definitely humbling to me. Now I'm more prepared than the client almost every single time, and I'm more prepared than everything I do in life. So the principle is, if you're not prepared, then you do not care. It's not really about capability, it's about the respect that you have for the work you do, for the people you work with, and for yourself. And when I started over preparing for every call that I have, checking every script and every deliverable before I send it, I started preparing for every opportunity. Clients started referring me and my business. Trust compounded, and it was easier for me to talk to clients and for them to trust me. If you have a sales call, or if you have an email or a deliverable or even an edit that you have to give to that client, I want you to double check that and prepare like it's your last chance talking to that client ever. Show up with notes, do more research, give them value, even if you have to give them the whole system. The thing is, they won't even care. They still would need someone to do it for them. Do that and like watch what happens. It's gonna be life-changing. Now, these lessons took me 2 to 3 years to learn, hundreds of hours with multi-millionaires, and you basically just got them in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But in all honesty, just knowing without action means absolutely nothing. And yeah, if this helped you, hit subscribe. I drop videos like this every week, and I will always try to show you what works behind the scenes. See you in the next one. Peace out.